Have you ever stopped to think about how the body can signal things we often ignore? Imagine blood as the fuel of a car. If the gasoline is contaminated, the engine won't run well, and sooner or later, problems arise that could be avoided with small changes. Blood sugar follows the same logic. When it's unregulated, the entire organism suffers. Today, you will discover a simple and practical way to maintain healthier blood sugar levels, without complications or miraculous formulas. What's most interesting is that this doesn't rely solely on traditional medications, but also on awareness, discipline, and a balanced view of life. In the end, you'll realize that the secret isn't seeking perfection, but rather finding a sustainable rhythm, like a car running smoothly, without flaws and without energy loss. Consider the example of Anna, who is 65 years old. She discovered she had diabetes a few years ago and, for a long time, treated the matter with disdain. She took the medication prescribed by her doctor, but continued eating everything she always had. She didn't measure her blood sugar at home and only worried when it was time to return to the clinic. One day, she felt a strong dizziness while climbing a few steps. She went to the hospital, underwent tests, and was shocked to find her glucose levels were extremely high. From that moment on, she realized she couldn't let her blood sugar run wild, like a car with no brakes. She needed to adopt a new way of thinking and acting. Instead of panicking, Anna began to monitor her blood sugar before and after meals. She noted everything in a notebook along with what she ate. Quickly, she understood that certain dishes raised her blood sugar significantly, while others brought balance. This record helped Anna see what was a myth and what genuinely caused spikes. Just this practice already gave her more clarity in her daily choices. And she noticed that, aside from physical benefits, she also felt more secure and confident. When the mind is calm, the body thanks you. Some people seek natural solutions and completely neglect medical supervision. Others, on the contrary, cling only to medications and forget the power that nature offers. There is a middle ground that can combine the best of both worlds. An example of this is the well-known herb called patata vaca, cow's foot. Many have heard of it, but few truly believe in its benefits until they try it. Dona Rita, who is 70 years old, has always been curious about teas and herbs. Tired of experiencing blood sugar spikes, she decided to regularly test patata vaca. She prepared the tea by boiling about a tablespoon of the dried herb in 250 milliliters of water, letting it steep for a few minutes, and consuming it in the morning and afternoon. Before long, she noticed a slight improvement in her sugar levels, and after a period of use, she found her measurements were more stable. Of course, every organism reacts differently, but Dona Rita's body responded well to this natural help. It's worth remembering that the idea isn't to abandon any medical treatment, but to talk with a healthcare professional to see if the herb could be an ally. Small steps, when combined with a self-care routine, often yield better results than extreme measures, which can frequently be unsustainable in the long term. Anyone curious can try patata vaca for a period, always observing how their body responds and taking all necessary precautions. However, the big question isn't limited to simply drinking tea or measuring blood sugar. There's a force that comes from within and influences how we deal with daily challenges. Stoic philosophy talks a lot about accepting reality as it is and acting wisely in the face of what we cannot control. There's a thought attributed to Seneca that says happiness depends more on how we react to the present than on external circumstances. When we understand that certain events are beyond our control, we stop fighting the inevitable and start using our energy for what we can truly change. Carlos, who is 68 years old, was always resistant to changing his diet because of diabetes. He used to say, "I've lived enough, I'll eat what I want." But after facing some complications, he decided to embrace the Stoic concept of accepting what cannot be changed and acting on what is possible. In his case, he couldn't simply undo his diabetes diagnosis, but he could adapt his routine and diet. That's what he did. Instead of focusing on what he couldn't eat, he began exploring more colorful dishes and different recipes. He discovered new flavors and, gradually, realized that discipline brought rewards for his health and energy levels. Moreover, he incorporated small reflection practices. Every night, before bed, he would express gratitude for something simple from the day and visualize a realistic goal for the next morning. This act of focusing on the present and valuing what one has laid the foundation for feeling less anxious and reconnecting with his inner strength. Diet plays a massive role in this context. Many people only think about cutting sugar, but forget that there are various simple carbohydrates that can disrupt blood sugar levels. On the other hand, a well-balanced meal rich in vegetables, greens, whole grains, and quality proteins helps stabilize blood sugar naturally. João realized this when he started to notice that he was eating practically the same things every day: white bread, pasta, refined rice, and sweets. He found it difficult to change because he thought everything was either expensive or too labor-intensive. But by making small swaps, he even saw his expenses decrease. Instead of buying filled cookies, he began bringing fruits for snacks. Instead of always having fried foods, he started including steamed vegetables and small portions of varied salads. He didn't need a radical transformation, but a combination of adjustments that made his meals more colorful and nutritious. What's more, when the body is well-nourished, the craving for sweets diminishes. Over time, João began to feel more energetic and realized that he didn't have to give up everything he liked. He just needed to better balance the quantities and types of food he placed on his plate. By paying attention to this, he also noticed that his mood became more stable, as significant blood sugar fluctuations often affect emotional well-being. In addition to what's on the plate, the body also craves movement. We become so accustomed to sedentary routines, whether in front of the television or other screens, that we forget just how important it is to stay active to keep blood sugar in check. Think about the oil in an engine that sits idle for too long. It tends to become thick and doesn't circulate properly. The body needs circulation. It needs the ebb and flow of blood and muscles in action. Dona Rita, who is 72 years old, grew tired of feeling constant pain and fatigue. She decided to start walking every day. At first, she walked for 5 or 10 minutes. She felt breathless, but gradually increased to 15, 20 minutes, and so on. She noticed that, in parallel, her blood sugar readings became more stable. She started sleeping better, waking up feeling more energetic, and even the pain in her knees diminished. Even on days when she felt lazier, she remembered how good she felt after a good walk. Instead of making superhuman efforts at the gym, she found in the simple act of walking outdoors a way to recharge her energy. This habit may seem trivial, but it makes a significant difference. The secret is to start gradually and enjoyably, until the body naturally craves that movement. One point many people overlook is the influence of anxiety and food impulses in the lives of those with diabetes, or even for those merely concerned about their health. Our thoughts can be allies or major saboteurs. Stoic philosophy reinforces the idea that we have a certain degree of control over how we react to what happens. And when it comes to food, the emotional factor counts for a lot. Pedro, who is 62 years old, discovered this after several episodes of eating an entire package of sweet cookies without even realizing it. He felt guilty and promised he wouldn't repeat the mistake. But the anxiety of daily life caused everything to go haywire again. One day, he heard about a simple technique of conscious breathing. Determined to try something new, he began to take a few minutes to sit down, close his eyes, and take deep, slow breaths, paying attention to the air coming in and out. It seemed small, but it made all the difference. When the urge to snack on sweets arose, he would consciously breathe for a few seconds. That brief pause helped his mind better filter decisions. If he still wanted the sweet after that moment, fine, but most of the time, that urgency to eat faded away. Noticing this gradual control, Pedro gained more confidence and saw that he didn't need to conflict with himself. It was just a matter of facing anxiety head-on and using breath to reorganize thoughts. In the end, everything is interconnected. The importance of regularly measuring blood sugar, writing down what you eat, discovering medicinal plants that can provide support, practicing the discipline to accept reality as it is, investing in a more colorful diet, moving, and controlling the mind before it controls us. Small actions accumulate and create a significant impact over time. That's why it's worth sharing these ideas with those who need less complicated and more genuine guidance. The reality is that there is no magic formula. There is, however, a sum of daily choices that, when combined, change how the body functions. With perseverance, even a small step can become the foundation for something bigger. This doesn't mean that all of this will free anyone from all the pitfalls of diabetes or health fluctuations. However, it opens up a path to live better and reduce the complications that are so concerning. Never underestimate the power of small changes, for it is in these that the potential for surprising results lies. Blood sugar doesn't have to be a constant nightmare. It can become a measure of care, a thermometer indicating if we are on the right track or not. Sometimes, it's enough to remember to check before and after eating, include something healthy on your plate, take a conscious pause to breathe, and move your body. When this becomes a lifestyle, the rewards appear. It's very likely that you know someone who might also need to hear these reflections. If this resonates with you, feel free to leave a comment sharing how you see these tips in your daily life or recount a personal experience that might inspire others. And if you think this type of content can continue to shed light on diabetes issues, consider following for more tips, as this way you'll stay informed about other simple practices that can change your routine. There's no need for alarm or empty promises. Just recognize that with a bit of persistence and care, we can strengthen the mind, establish healthier connections with our food, and reduce blood sugar fluctuations. None of this is about being perfect, but about finding stability amid the storms of daily life. With each step taken calmly, the body feels more protected and the mind more confident. This combination of protection and confidence builds a life that is safer, more fulfilling, and full of reasons to believe that true control begins within each of us.